We're going to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Input English. We're back in the kitchen and we're going to make something delicious. As you look at our series of videos in the kitchen, of course, our purpose is to provide comprehensible input to you to improve your listening comprehension and your speaking ability, for sure. But our videos have to deal with something, and it should be interesting, it should be fun, it should be compelling. And so we have a bunch of videos in the kitchen because people love food. We need food, and food is interesting. If you look at our videos on kitchen topics, I have a lot of videos about vegetarian type food, but I also have some American recipe favorites like our meatloaf. Today we're in the favorite foods category or the comfort foods category, grilled cheese sandwich. Growing up in the United States as a little kid, I like nothing better than a good grilled cheese sandwich. They were easy to make, they were readily available, and we ate a lot of them. Now, you could argue that, maybe food choices could not include dairy or not include cheese. We're not arguing that here. Don't judge me on that. I'm just going to present a recipe and approach to a comfort food that is very popular in the United States, particularly in the era when I grew up. Now, if you look at grilled cheese sandwiches, and you can get them in diners, restaurants, your neighbor's house, grilled cheese sandwiches are everywhere. They're usually made with white bread and American cheese and lots of butter. It's a pretty simple recipe. However, for the adult who wants a better grilled cheese sandwich, there are some things we can do to make it far more interesting and far more delicious. Okay, so what about the butter? Yeah, we need butter. Okay. What about the bread? Yeah. But how about sourdough bread? Very good. Sourdough bread it is. And it's white bread, but it's sourdough bread. Very popular. And then the cheese. Instead of American cheese, which you get as slices in the grocery store, I would advocate putting our cheese together as our own recipe. So there are a bunch of different options, and the ones I like to use for this recipe are two. Mix them together because one provides a lot of flavor and the other one provides wonderful texture, and when they work together, good things happen. So the texture comes from mozzarella. Mozzarella, of course, is an Italian cheese, and there are many different types of it. You can get fresh mozzarella that comes in balls. This isn't what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is aged mozzarella, which is harder. It's a solid cheese, and you can slice it, or in our case, you can grate it through a cheese grater. This is a cheese grater. Okay. So you can buy aged mozzarella and run it through a cheese grater and wind up with grated cheese. So to put this thing together, it's really simple. Butter the bread. If you want to do it right, butter the bread on both sides of both slices because this is a lot of butter. You don't have to put huge amounts on, but this sandwich gets butter on the inside, but it also needs butter on the outside because we're going to grill it in a skillet. So that's the plan. I'm going to get our ingredients together here on the cutting board, and we're going to put together a grilled cheese sandwich, and we're going to make it. I have assembled our ingredients here. There are not that many ingredients. We have 2 slices of sourdough bread that are fresh. We have butter. We have already grated the mozzarella, and this is Gruyere. So Gruyere is the other Swiss cheese. When I was a kid, I was taught that the Swiss cheese was the stuff with the holes in it. Well, that was good for a little kid because that was pretty simplistic, but there is Swiss cheese that has holes in it, but there are other Swiss cheeses, and this is Gruyere. Now, you have to pardon my pronunciation. I don't profess that that is the proper pronunciation, or I French. Gruyere is a Swiss word. So I'm not going to dwell on that. That's the way I was taught to pronounce this cheese. It's the other Swiss cheese. It has a wonderful flavor. So I've already run some of it through the grater. It's pretty simple. You just rub the edge along and it converts this block of cheese into grated cheese. So here we have grated Gruyere, and this is grated mozzarella, and that's probably enough. So now we need to butter the bread. There's a saying in English, he knows what side his bread is buttered on. That was an expression when I was a kid that completely baffled me. I had no idea. I'm a native speaker of English, and there wasn't a prayer I understood what that expression meant. Basically, if somebody knows what side their bread is buttered on, they know how to deal with other people to get what they want. It's just that simple. The comical thing about that expression is in this particular dish, the bread is going to be buttered on both sides. So by far, the expression does not apply. So now that the bread is buttered, we need to put the cheese on it. So mozzarella, Gruyere. Now the question arises, how much cheese do you put on? Well, a lot. So I have transferred the grilled cheese onto the pan, and I've started the flame, and we're going to grill the one side. Now, I want this cheese to melt. And so the way I do it, certainly the heat from the flame is going to melt the cheese, but I'd like to give it a little help. And so I usually cover this with a lid. So I have a lid that I put on top of this. And so I'm going to cook one side, flip it over carefully with a spatula, and cook the other side. And I'll check in with you when we have some results. So I just accomplished the impossible, what I thought was going to be impossible. That is, I flipped this thing over without destroying it. Just a little bit of care. Once the cheese melts, it glues the bread together so it moves as a unit. It was pretty loose when I put it in there to start, but as soon as the heat gets to it and it starts to cook, then the cheese melts, and then the 2 pieces of bread are firmly attached to each other. So now we just need to brown the other side, and we will be done. Now that the cheese is melted, I don't need the cover. There's no benefit to having the cover. So we have plated this grilled cheese sandwich, and I'm about to cut it. And we have nice cheese and crispy, buttery bread. I think this will be delicious. So we have completed a grilled cheese sandwich. What I was taught when making a grilled cheese sandwich is choose your ingredients carefully. And that's what we did today. We used sourdough bread, which is delicious on its own. To that, we added 2 different kinds of cheese, one for the texture, that aged mozzarella, and then for the unbelievably delicious flavor, the Gruyere. Those 2 were grated, put together, and then of course butter on both sides of the bread so that the butter is adequate to the task. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts or concerns, questions, put them down in the comments. We love comments. Put your comments down. I read them. I enjoy them. It's part of this process. Feedback to us is super useful. Of course, we encourage people to like and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you in a future video. See you soon.